So while we're sitting in here waiting for the next 4 hours to get a game, this is about as good a time as any to for my bitch ass to give you all an excuse as to where the fuck I've been for the past like 3-ish weeks. And my answer to that is I simply needed a break from just playing the game. Well, I still played the game a little bit, but like I just needed a bit of a break from doing YouTube because whenever I'm uh trying to get like record a video, first of all, there's the obvious stomps and blowouts are pretty common because of like summer vacation and all the kiddies being out of school and that sort of thing. But also just because I needed like just to take a break because whenever I'm recording a video trying to get something, whatever it might be, unless it's like a post-recorded replay, there's always like a sort of like pressure to play really well, and by that I mean I don't mean like just like playing to win, which I do obviously try and do, and I try and explain my thought process on what I need to do to win and all this sort of thing. But like it's not like trying to play to win is not always the flashiest thing in the world, and I say this all the time, but I also uh am human and I do like showing off flashy looking shit like if like in this game I fucking 1v1 a Puerto Rico with guns. Even if it takes me 2 minutes, it'd be really funny to see me win that. But I don't know. Like I just needed a break from the game just so I can play it for myself and not have to worry about bullshit, or not really bullshit, but like uh trying to get videos and all this sort of thing. It's just, I've been doing YouTube for the most part fairly consistently for like a year, over a year, probably closer to 2 years at this point. And I've gotten to a point where I just wanted to take a personal break for myself, so that's what I did. But we are gonna try and get back into the swing of things here, starting with fucking Puerto Rico in my mouth. There's a Yu Yang over at Seaside, which means I don't have to worry about that radar. There is still a black radar, a Minotaur radar. Does the Protector get radar? No, it doesn't. I never remember if that thing gets radar or not. There is a Parseval that's probably going to be pissing me off here. I am being RPF'd, which honestly could be any of those. And of course, the Parseval is going to come over here and grief my ass. That's the black. This Puerto Rico is gonna be really annoying. Does this carrier actually have nothing better to do with his life than to strike a destroyer with AP bombers? That is actually insane. Well, I guess that's a way to start off the game back on YouTube, is to get griefed by a carrier in front of a fucking Puerto Rico. So you'll love to see that. Let's see, the Yu Yang, the Jaeger's just about dead. Is this Parseval going to come back here? It is looking like he is. So trying to get C is basically a non-factor right now. There's a black radar covering it. There's a carrier coming to grief my ass. There's the black, there's the Puerto Rico. So yeah. Unless I was going to try and dive the island right there, I'm not going to be getting C. I'm gonna see if I can blind reset this black. We're just gonna have to sit here and try and bide our time. We have to just sit here and bide our time and wait for either the black to fuck right off or the Puerto Rico to fuck right off, or both. Look, it does look like the Puerto Rico's not too interested in me right at this second, and I'm not gonna be able to straight up prevent the capture of D, which isn't great, but it's not the worst either. Our Puerto Rico is low, but for right now, we do have a kill up on the enemy team, and we might be able to kill one or both of these guys, depending on how our Napoli turns out. I was honestly not expecting this black to poke out like that. But the Puerto Rico is coming out this way. There's the black radar that figures. Puerto Rico's incoming. And the black is still being spotted, presumably by either the Jaeger or the Kitakaze. Even though I'm not in my smoke right now, the smoke is able to block the line of sight. So that's how I'm undetected right now, despite not being directly in the smoke. Though that black is no longer alive, never mind. Of course, now is when the Puerto Rico is going to move up, although it looks like he is hitting his radar right now because the Kitakaze is being spotted, even though that island should be starting to block line of sight. And I'm not too worried about these planes because they are only AP dive bombers. This fucking carrier, man. He actually has nothing better to do with his life than to come over here and grief my ass. But once this Puerto Rico is down, our Kitakaze is pretty safe behind that island there. The Puerto Rico is not going to be able to shoot at him behind the island. That's the Minotaur still spotting me. Just bow tank this guy for a little while. Like, okay, how much do I trust a random Kitakaze and an Izumo to deal with one Puerto Rico? Actually, there is a damaged Preußen and an Asashio over there, so that could be dangerous. The Puerto Rico is kiting away, though. I could fight this Minotaur, though. That might be funny. Looks like that is a radar Minotaur. That figures. I have to get angled away here. Of course, here comes the carrier again. This is actually not the most brilliant position to be in, because these torpedoes are forcing me to be broadside to the Minotaur, which I don't want. So I am going to be relying a lot on speed dodging here. And this Minotaur should die to that Yamato there. And Asashio is full health, which isn't a brilliant fight for me to take because even though I do have more DPM than an Asashio, I don't have that big of a advantage on him simply because of the health difference. And Arizamo just donated, so that's also fun. I can just sit right here and farm this Preußen for basically free. Even if I get radared by the Puerto Rico, I can just reverse behind the big section of that island. Though it doesn't actually look like this Puerto Rico or this Preußen is very interested in pushing in. Which, to their credit, pushing into a Kitakaze and a Kid is not exactly the most optimal play when you're in a battleship of any description. Now what I'm going to do right here is I'm just going to try and loiter right around this area here to cut off the escape route of this Asashio, assuming that the Asashio doesn't just right into the Kitakaze. He, in fact, is in D right now. So I am going to try and cut him off here. He can still go behind that far side of the island here, but... Or he can just do that. Here's the million-dollar question. He is actually going to shoot back. Which is actually better than expected, to be honest. Of course, we're radared. Or, never mind, we just won the game. We're good. And I love how their Parsifal was like worst CV in the game right at the end there after he just spent like the next like 10 years griefing my ass in particular. So that Yamato actually did really fucking well. Props to him. So I guess this is exactly what I was talking about earlier with you know, playing to win not always being the flashiest thing in the world. But we still ended up doing pretty well, despite the fact that we only did 50k damage. We pretty much held that cap, or well, didn't really hold, but we tried to hold off that cap as long as possible. Got a couple of cheeky kills. The black kind of donated. And we basically had to play the best we could without donating to a cap that was covered by a black, a Puerto Rico, an Asashio later on, a Preußen, pretty much like half their team, and we had to deal with carrier focus, and we had to get shot at by a Minotaur from B a few times. So, yeah, that was fun. Well, I have not gotten any better at doing outros than before I took my breaks. So, yeah, I'll see ya.